I was the officer of the shift that evening. At 11:45, we got dispatched for a working structure fire with possible entrapment. We were out the door in less than a minute, and the fire was about 3 blocks from our firehouse. And when we turned the corner coming out of the firehouse, I was able to see that there was a large column of smoke in the air. At that point, I called for additional resources to come to the scene. And at that point, the dispatch center was telling us that we do have confirmed people trapped inside the building. Fire was coming out of the 2nd floor, and it was going up the steps to the 3rd floor, where the people were being reported trapped. I went and made my way up the steps, went into the 3rd floor, and then began to do a search. I was able to find one victim, a 3-year-old girl, and brought her out. I was not able to get off of the 3rd floor at first. I actually took and opened up my jacket and tucked her in so that I can get down the steps to the 2nd floor to potentially work my way all the way down to get her down to the ground, but that was not possible with the 2nd floor fire that was coming out at that time. So then I went to the front of that porch where my driver, firefighter Waters, was. He threw a ladder up. I was able to pass the victim off to him, and he took her down to EMS. At that point, I told him that I was going back up. There was other people up there. I went up to the 3rd floor, went to the same location where I found her, found what was, I believe, to be the mother, and when I was getting ready to roll her over to pull her out is when I came across the 14-month-old. I grabbed the baby and I started to work my way out. I went in the direction that I thought I came in, but I got turned around and I actually ended up in a bedroom. Conditions were getting a lot worse in there as far as smoke and heat. There was zero visibility, could not see anything, and the heat was so intense that I was actually starting to feel it through my gear. My driver, I called out to him to ask for help, more resources to come up to the scene. He called a mayday. I made it down through steps down to the 1st floor and handed the child off. But that floor at that point was starting to become fully involved, and there was no chance for us to get any additional crews in there to extricate any additional patients. I've been on fires before where we have had fatal outcomes. This was by far the worst that I have ever been on. To have that large amount of life lost, it was intense, and it was something that I'll never forget. You know, there was a little bit of a good outcome as far as, you know, being able to rescue a victim, but it's overshadowed by the fact that 3 other people lost their life.
It just brings to light that, you know, that fatal fires do happen. Firefighters do get trapped. Firefighters do get in bad situations. So the way I help Lieutenant Shigo is continuously talk about it. We use this as a learning experience. We use it to promote training, how important it is to do this type of training and run these scenarios.
What is most rewarding is the fact that, you know, the people that we help, the people that we save, that they're there because of us sometimes. It was a couple days after Jeannie Rosenkrantz, one of our critical incident stress debriefers from the county, reached out to me and firefighter Waters and asked if we would want to meet with the little girl that we saved. And I said absolutely, and that was actually the first time that I had ever got to interact with a victim. Usually we cut them out of cars, you know, we might help them depending on what the situation was, but then, you know, they go off and they live their life and we never really have any interaction with them again. So I got to meet the little girl, which was a very touching experience. I met the grandmother who was there and came up and gave me a big hug and said if it wasn't for me, she would no longer be a grandmother, and that really hit home, and that sat and that touched me quite a bit.
I think that Eric was a perfect recipient for what this award is all about. This award is all about just what it says, spirit of courage. And that's a true definition of what Lieutenant Shigo did that night. He went and relied on his training and went in there and saved a life. Saved a life. Put his own life at risk to save others. And I think that that says it all. That says it all.